Angels have bodies. Apparently, there was a comment that was made at the end of a show a few weeks ago that sparked this interest in this topic. Teri, go ahead and explain.
Okay, so 2 weeks ago we did a show on the book of the Watchers, which comes to us from First Enoch. And at the end of the show, with 5 minutes to spare, our fearless leader, Pastor James, dropped a bomb on us.
I didn't know that.
When he said, of course angels have bodies. I said well, we all kind of look like deer in the headlights, because I think our reaction, the three of us, was all the same. Like, what?
Yeah.
We were shocked, because that is not the way.
Was the three of you all right?
Yes,
Nancy, you were shocked?
Well, not actually, no.
You weren't shocked?
No, I wasn't shocked.
Ben?
I was shocked.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
And explain the shockness to me.
Well, hang on. So, Nancy, your understanding of angels having bodies, so you knew that angels had bodies.
Well,
right?
I believe that, yes. It might not be like our physical bodies.
Correct.
But they can appear as men, but I think their bodies are different. But I do think they have form, like bodies, yes. Yes.
Yeah, I had never thought of it that way. And Ben, what were you thinking?
I just thought they were like spirits, like in a different realm, because that's in cartoons. Growing up in Disney, you see. I mean, Disney's not a good template, but when you're a little kid, that's what you think of angels as. I don't know.
Right,
So-
they kind of like ghosts, because
Yeah.
you'd be able to put your hand, except
Exactly.
when they have special. Okay, I always thought it was like if they came and showed up in a body, which they do several times in the Bible. That it was like that they were on special mission from God, or maybe God's given them permission, the good angels, because we do hear stories about angels intervening and saving people's lives, and there's the verse about entertaining angels unaware, which would mean that they would look exactly like people,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't know the difference, because that's why you'd be unaware, right? So I did know that and I always figured it was kind of like putting on a coat. Like looking like a human being for an angel was like putting on a coat. But that was sort of in their natural, quote unquote, natural state, I just thought of them like a ghost.
Yeah, me too. It seemed kind of foreign.
But
to
so
me.
you believe that they have bodies, just not bodies like us?
Well, no, I didn't think of it as a body, because I was thinking spirit. Like when we die, right? Our spirit leaves our physical body. And then do we have a spirit body? Is that a body?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it wears a white robe underneath the throne.
So what about back to our discussion about when they had relations with women on the earth?
I figured, I didn't know what happened there. I was just taking it on faith.
Oh, I mean, you would
somehow
think they'd have to...
Yes. Yes, they would need physical bodies for that.
And parts and stuff, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, yeah.
Okay, so I do have some scriptures here, and we're just going to hopefully talk about this in a logical manner. But Pastor James, how did you come about this knowledge?
About what knowledge? I'm sorry.
About angels having bodies?
Well, you saw them. Isaiah saw them in the throne room. Wings, one they cover their eyes. Some they flew and two cupped underneath their feet. So their bodies don't look like our bodies, obviously, but they have bodies.
Okay, so here's a question.
Do you see what I'm
We'll bring
saying?
this one up early since you brought it up.
Okay.
In the spiritual realm, where the throne room is, and the temple, the heavenly temple, is that just a different location?
What's a different location? The
Is
temple?
the spiritual realm just a different location? Like if we were in the spiritual realm, and people have been taken there, Paul was taken there, right? Mm-hmm. Enoch was taken, and then he was no more. Let's see, Ezekiel was taken. Like, do you think that they would the temple was a physical thing that they could touch?
What temple exactly?
Or where they were, the throne room of God? The heavenly one, the real one, could they touch it when they were there?
What Isaiah was looking at?
Yes.
The vision?
Yes. Well, that when it's not a vision. Like, okay, let's say
I
for
think the vision is a real place that they see.
Okay, but I'm asking you,
Uh-huh.
within that spiritual realm,
Yeah.
is there physicality, do you think?
Not like we experience though.
It's not like solid.
Not like we experience it. If Satan is to be locked up for 1,000 years, right?
Uh-huh.
Then he has to be restrained.
Yes.
So it's a spiritual dungeon. It's a dungeon. It's a jailhouse that is able to restrain the spiritual body. If you read Jude says they've been locked up early, then it is a spiritual dungeon that can restrain their spiritual bodies. I think their bodies are on a higher plane than ours.
So for them, there's mass, there's matter, there's solid.
Not as we experience it.
Do we know that?
What do you mean?
Because we're kind of speculating here, right? Because none of us have been there.
Why would we speculate?
How do we know that it's not a lot like this here and now
in a higher dimension,
in a different place, a different dimension, or a different location?
Oh, we know that
physicality.
Because we know demons don't play by the same rules we do.
Well, okay, we got to be specific with. Demons are.
Well, that's what you say. I don't buy that.
I think the Book of the Watchers
angels,
says the demons are something special.
Yeah, the Book of the Watchers.
They are
disembodied.
No, but it doesn't mean it's not true.
But
disembodied
we can't act
spirits.
like it's true. Well,
Spirits.
I don't know if I buy that.
But fallen angels, I guess maybe we could say.
Fallen angels don't play by the same rules that we do. They can walk through. They can manifest. They have powers that we don't have.
Right.
It's a different realm. I think like angels can appear and disappear.
But within that realm, I was just asking, do you think like the temple is so you're saying you don't think
the
it
temple
is,
of God?
Yes.
It's a real place.
One. Yeah, I
it's
know
a
it's a
real
real place, but is it a physical place?
You mean material place?
Physical material.
Because when you say physical, when you say physical, and again, I think it's terminology. It's how you and I describe physical
right.
matter.
Uh-huh.
They don't play by this. They don't play by.
Do we
this.
know that?
Yes,
How do we
because
know?
they can appear and disappear right before your eyes.
No. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on because I got some more questions about that.
All right. So
if you want to, there we go. So Dr. Michael Heiser says this: the fact that in biblical theology there can by definition be only one uncreated being in turn means that all other Elohim inhabitants of the spiritual realm are made of something. We often mistake invisibility with non-materiality, but
Correct.
that is scientifically, materially not the case.
Correct. So yeah, he did that well. I would say I agree with that. I agree. Hey, do me a favor. I didn't do it. If you can give me a thumbs up, make sure we're coming through loud and clear. I am not good technology-wise, but if you could give us a thumbs up, let us know we're coming through loud and clear. So yeah, I would agree with that, Teri. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I do too.
Just when you say
now
the
that I've had a week, 2 weeks to think about it.
Yeah, the spiritual realm is made up of something. It's just not how you and I experience it. And the reason why we know that is because the spiritual beings can come and go. And God or demons through other means, they have to open up your perception so that you can perceive the spiritual. Remember the prayer of Elisha?
Yeah,
Lord,
that's what we're going to,
open his eyes.
we got this.
So God
right
has
here.
to open the eyes, or for whatever happened with Balaam.
We got a slide on that, actually.
Oh, we got a slide on that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is from 2 Kings 6. When the servant of the man of God rose early in the morning and went out, behold, an army with horses and chariots was all around the city. And the servant said, Alas, my master, what shall we do? He said, Do not be afraid, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Then Elisha prayed and said, O Lord, please open his eyes that he may see. End quote. So the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha.
There you go.
So, those that heavenly host with all their chariots and whatnot.
They were there already.
They were there in our world.
Yes.
We just could not see them.
Correct.
Is that how we're understanding this?
Yeah. Elijah said there's more with us than him. And he says, Lord, don't send them. Lord, show him. Open his eyes that he may see.
Right.
They were there already.
Okay. So there's something about us that prevents us from seeing.
Not prevent. You just don't have the capacity.
But,
How can I say this? You don't have the natural capacity. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Something has to give you. I think drugs does that. I think drugs alters the mind to the point where you can perceive things that you normally can't see and should not see.
Yes,
And
I agree.
It opens your spirit up to demonic stuff. Thank you, Kim, for the thumbs up. But in this case, God opened his eyes when that wasn't natural. He couldn't naturally see that on his own. God opened his eyes, and I still say one of the things that they theorize that we only use 10% of our brains. They don't know what the other 90% is. I had a professor that said this. He said, when a new heaven and a new earth comes, we were going to be shocked. He said, the one thing I am certain of, we're going to be shocked at how much it's like the world we experience now. It just won't be with sin. It just won't have sin.
Oh, yeah. I
But the mind, I think,
true.
the way he created it, the mind is capable. It's almost like if your liver was functioning at 10%, you'd be in trouble. If your kidneys were functioning at 10%,
yeah.
you'd be in trouble. Anything in your body, if your eyes were functioning at 10%, you'd be having thick glasses. But the brain is functioning, they theorize, at 10%. And the brain is something that I think neurologists still say, boy, we still don't know majority. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know.
But we do know too that had Elijah's servant gone and walked around, he wouldn't have bumped into them, because they weren't.
You don't know that. Remember, they're up in the air.
Were they? I don't
Didn't
think
it
it
say
said that, did it?
In the mountain, right?
The mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around. I
thought like mountains up in the air. Maybe it's not. Early in the morning. Chariots are all around the city, and the servant says the last one. Pray, Lord, open up his eyes. The mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elijah. Now again, it couldn't be fire as you and I experience it, because there would have been heat coming off of it, which obviously it wasn't. I just think he's looking into the spiritual world, and he's trying his best to describe what he sees. I'm not even sure you had horses with chariots. It may have been tanks. He didn't know what to call. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying he's trying his best to describe what he sees. And he sees some sort of vehicle that he's going to call chariots, because that's what vehicles were in his day. And he's going to say fire because he doesn't know what to explain, what it just read with some stuff coming off. It looks like fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So I don't think... Naturally, would they bump into him? No, not naturally. But we know angels can come down, take swords, and start wiping out men with ease, right?
Yes, this is true. So it seems like they can somehow manipulate matter in this.
I think they can come down to
our
us.
realm.
They can come down to us. Yes.
But even when they come down, they're not necessarily going to be material. What's the word we're using? Material.
They are material, but they won't be physical as we understand it. I'm sorry, they come down as physical as we understand it. But think about it. You can say spiritual all you want. There has to be something material that someone can physically put their hands on, because Michael and Satan fought as Michael was coming to Daniel. So they were fighting.
Right, and I got that. We're coming up.
You got that, guys. And not only that, Satan is locked up for 1,000 years. So there's a material place that can withstand spiritual beings.
Got it. Okay.
And so you even have that in Jude, right? They were locked up early, right? Think about this: the lake of fire. They're going to be thrown in.
Right.
Right. Fallen angels and men are going to be in that lake of fire, and so it's a
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense logically. It was
Yep.
just the part about I just assumed. I think that Ben and I just assumed we
Yeah.
could put our hands right through them
Exactly.
under most
And
circumstances.
you can do
but
it
then there are times when you cannot, when they can
When-
take a sword.
now. When they come
whatever.
when they come down to our level, when they come down to our level, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they can still be. You could still not necessarily. Go ahead, Ben. I know what you're thinking.
And no one teaches this either. All right, this is the first.
Right.
Literally, this is the first time
And why
I've
do we?
heard of this in churches.
And do we gonna? If there's a slide that's gonna go over why that's the case?
Oh no, there isn't a slide. Go ahead, Pastor.
No, you go ahead.
Well, if I can say, going
Yeah.
back, there was a move. I remember it when I was younger. People taught about angels a lot. There was like
Really?
a period of time.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a lot of teaching.
When was this?
It's got to be 25 years ago at least. I just remember there was this big focus on angels. A lot of books came out.
You mean the Catholics?
No, not the
No, I
Catholics.
think I was kind
Maybe
of
part of the
aware that, even though I
charismatic move or
wasn't,
whatever it was. I do remember it though. There was a big emphasis on
No,
angels.
they're talking about Angels and Demons, the movie, whatever.
No,
this was
she's
actual- you would hear
I remember there were a
teachings.
lot of books on
Yeah,
it,
you would
weren't
hear.
there?
Yes, there was a period of time. I'm going to say in the charismatic move, maybe.
It could be.
I don't
It was
know.
25
I don't know if it would have
years
been
ago,
in like
yeah.
Reformed churches or
Yeah,
Baptist
it's not
churches
recent,
or
but
whatever.
I do remember it. It was
Yeah.
a lot of angel stuff. Yeah.
maybe that's how you were smarter than
Well, I
we
don't know.
were,
Maybe
or more
there's-
knowledgeable than
I was
Nancy.
taught and I didn't know. Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead. I was going to change the subject for a slight
the whole
minute,
thing
so go
with-
ahead.
The whole thing with Ben. I think particularly here. Let's put it this way. I love talking to believers that weren't from America because you get a totally different perspective.
Yes.
So I had a friend of mine. I just reconnected with him. He called me last week, and I got to do a video with him. Osama Dakdak.
Oh yeah.
Remember him?
Mm-hmm.
And he's from Egypt originally. And he was like, "You Americans." He loved that. Said, "You know, when you minister to Americans, Osama, try not to call us idiots all the time. You get much better if you don't talk down to them." So, but anyway, he was saying that you Americans try to materialize everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you deny the spiritual aspect of reality. And he says, you guys call a lot of things that are spiritual physical. He says, in Egypt, if someone has schizophrenia, we pray for him. We come and take the Bible and thump it on his head and pray for him, and it leaves. And he was talking about that with several different things. But these guys from Africa and from the Middle East, they're very attuned to the spiritual world. They don't deny it.
Right.
We Americans, we say we believe in the spiritual world, obviously because we believe in the spiritual God, but we don't act like it.
Mm-hmm.
And those things that are clearly spiritual in Scripture, we downplay it. So let's say like Genesis 6, right, the sons of God. To say that those are not angels, fallen angels, that's a philosophical argument. That is not a scriptural argument because there is no way you can take what's written in Genesis 6 and compare it with the rest of Scripture and say that was not angels that came down. There's no way you could take that interpretation. And so when I read that, I was shocked. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, what's going on? So I read it again and again and again, and I compared it like, well, these angels. There's no way around this. And a lot of times, our theology is philosophical driven, not scriptural driven.
Yeah. I agree. I think it handicaps us.
Of course it handicaps
Because,
us.
and even, because you gave me, you let me read part of the Wayne Grudem Systematic Theology this week, and even he was trying to say that those are descendants of Seth.
And he knows better than that.
But that's what he wrote.
I know.
But, and I've been doing some thinking about this as far as, that's part of the reason I'm doing this. I think I said last time when we went over the Book of the Watchers is I'm trying to overcome my own
because you were stuck in that,
anti-supernatural
yes.
bias, and I do think it's helping. But I realize that the context of the whole Bible is supernatural.
Teri, from Genesis to Revelation.
Yes, it's not just. But here's the difference. It's not just that it has supernatural events in it.
No.
It's
whole
it's the
thing.
context, it's the backdrop, and a lot of things aren't spelled out in the Bible the way we would like them, because in order to get over our bias here, because everybody had the same supernatural worldview. Even I think.
Oh, you mean the writers of the Bible?
The writers of the Bible had the same, so they didn't have to spell certain things out because they all knew it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, you mean the culture that was built upon
Yes.
Adam and Eve walking in the garden
Right.
with God, the culture that was born out of the 10 plagues of Egypt, that culture, yeah, they knew it was a supernatural world. Absolutely. You talking about the culture that saw the Shekinah glory come down in the temple, and it was the temple they went to? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not that supernatural is here and there in the Bible.
Right.
From Genesis to Revelation, it's all spiritual. And I think that goes back to the context in which, what is the greatest trick that the Satan has caused on the Western world?
Oh my gosh.
Is to convince them that he doesn't exist.
Right.
And if he can't get you there, he will get you to deny the spiritual world. And how do you do that? Every illness has a medical, physical
Yes.
origin. Right? Don't ask us how it works. We just know that you have a chemical imbalance in the brain.
And that's why you're seeing all
And that's why you're
those
seeing all those
creatures.
things. Well, which chemicals? We don't know which chemicals. Literally, a woman told me, I said, why do you think it's chemical imbalance that causes this? If you have no idea which chemicals it is, her response is, well, what else could it be? Because she had denied, because she grew up in the West, she denied that the spiritual world even existed. So it has to be chemical. It has to be a chemical imbalance in the brain.
Right.
Because what else could it be? Well, let me educate you. Demons. That's what it could be. That would it be. But
Yeah.
she denied it. In the West, you denied it.
And I think even in not probably in charismatic churches,
Yeah.
but probably in most churches, if somebody goes to the pastor today and says, "Pastor, I'm being plagued here with, I'm seeing, dark figures in my room," and
Yeah.
the pastor is going to probably send him to the psychiatrist.
Oh, really?
Oh. I think
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah, there's pastors that don't even believe in demons or.
Oh,
I mean, no,
that
seriously.
can't be true, Ben.
Yes.
No, there are.
Yes.
There are people who call themselves ministers
There
who
you go.
deny demons.
I agree with that, what you just said.
But they're not true ministers.
Yeah.
Well, and the whole Reformed movement too would probably deny the existence. Do they deny the existence of demons that
No,
people
no.
would see? Oh,
Oh, what they would see? Well, I don't know about that. I know. No, they won't deny the spiritual world. No, they don't deny that. They
but
won't
it does.
deny that.
But I thought that they believed that it doesn't interact with people now.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong with that. Again, that's a mixed bag. I'm sure some will, some won't. I don't think that's inherent with the reform movement.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right.
No.
We got that going.
I know
for
what
us.
is inherent in the reform movement, that the gifts have ceased.
Yeah,
Even
that-
though that's a philosophical, I think that's a philosophical
Sure.
argument. It's not a scriptural one.
No.
So, but again, it's the West denies the spiritual nature of our lives. As a Christian, do you realize as a Christian you are called to grow, spiritually? Well, you don't do that with
Yeah.
physical means.
Hmm.
You don't do that. You can't.
And it's also my
Yeah.
suspicion too, Pastor. A lot of these so-called churches lack prayer. Like this is like one of the few churches I know actually has prayer. It's like churches don't even meet up for prayer anymore. It's like, what else?
Ben, that's another casualty of denying the spiritual world.
Yeah.
Prayer's not that important to you.
Oh, and they're in
Prayer's not that important
a
to
lot
you.
of I will say that a lot of Reformed some don't even believe in prayer
There's a lot of
because
but no,
God's not going to alter. God's going to do what God's going to do,
correct.
no matter
That is true.
how
I
you
know
pray or what
several
you pray.
Reformed people that don't understand prayer. They don't understand it.
Right. Because if God alters the way he's going to do things, then he's not sovereign anymore. I think is
Yeah,
the way
which I
the
think
argument goes.
is a false argument.
That's
yes.
that's another show.
Yeah, that's a false argument.
But anyway, so moving along, as we were saying earlier, it's not just that they're not invisible and they can appear. Obviously, they can become physical like us.
Mhm.
They, with Abraham, as Nancy said not too long ago, they mated and fathered offspring with human women in Genesis 6. So they can take on physicality.
Yep.
And I know Pastor James probably doesn't like me putting this in here, but the book of the Watchers says explicitly, the angels took me leading away to a certain place. The ones there were like flaming fire, but when they wished, they appeared as men.
Well, that's consistent with the Bible.
It is.
But I'm not going to take it because the Watchers say it. But yes, that's consistent with the Bible.
But it
yeah.
spells it out here, where it doesn't, in the Bible, it's not really, yes, you see it, but it's not spelled out explicitly.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And they can also manipulate matter here on Earth. They are powerful and apparently often frightening. So, of course, here, we were just going through this Acts verse in Sunday school. So, and it Acts 12, 6 through 12. And when Herod was about to bring him out, that night Peter was sleeping. So Peter's in prison, bound with 2 chains between 2 soldiers, and the guards before the door were keeping the prison. Now behold, an angel of the Lord stood by him, and light shone in the prison, and he struck Peter on the side and raised him up, saying, "Arise quickly," and his chains fell off his hands. So, this isn't the only example of this.
Sure.
In the Bible. Then the angel said to him, "Gird yourself and tie on your sandals." And so he did. And he said to him, "Put on your garment and follow me." So he went out and followed him, and did not know that what was done by the angel was real, but thought he was seeing a vision. And when they were past the first and second guard posts, they came to the iron gate that leads to the city, which opened to them of its own accord. And they went out and down one street, and immediately the angel departed from him.
Sure.
So
that's all throughout.
Yes. So they have the ability to manipulate matter, which I think is interesting.
See, you say manipulate matter.
Yes.
They all matter.
Well, they're not like you said. They're not matter like we are matter. They're not matter like an iron door is matter.
Physical like us. They don't take on the physical attributes, but they are matter.
Well, then there has to be some physicality to them.
Yeah, they are spiritual, physical. Not the way we experience, but yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think we're talking semantics at this
No,
point.
no, you're right. You're right. But I still don't have a problem with them saying physical. It's just not the way we experience physical and matter.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right.
The more you have this one, the more famous, I guess, example is that was when Satan comes down and slaughters Job's children, right? When he leaves the throne room.
Right. Well,
and tornadoes and fire and I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, it can even manipulate the weather.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right.
So they affect things in the natural. I think
Right.
I've told you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend from Central America. These would be, I suppose, fallen angels, and she actually saw. And this is totally common in her culture.
Mm-hmm.
A man appeared. And there was I don't know if it was a kid or something riding on a bike, and that man that appeared grabbed the kid, threw that kid down to the ground. She saw it with the bike and all down to the ground. And then that manifestation just left.
Mm-hmm.
But she saw it. And they see this in their culture all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not unusual to them. Like Pastor's saying, this is just an American
Well, that's
thing.
so
Yeah.
interesting that she saw that.
Yes.
Like, so then you start to think, well, did that fallen angel want her to see that, or did I don't know, or was there something about her? Because there are actually testimonies. There are Christians who say, and they often end up in the New Age, and these are people who after the New Age they become Christians, that they say that they've seen things since they were children. I mean, they're not doing drugs.
Yeah.
You
In
know.
her culture, I don't think it made her unusual. I think it's normal.
Uh-huh.
It's normal. When they think when an ancestor wants to talk to you, things will start happening. Like
That's
the
demonic.
kids in the school will start falling off their chairs, and so and so wants to come and talk to us. So it's just part of their culture.
Me
That's
and
demonic.
Yeah,
Me
it's
and my-
demonic. Yeah, it's demonic.
me and my friend were playing chess one time at a hotel, and we're both believers. This was like a couple years ago, and we were in North Carolina, and the piano and the chair was just going off by itself and moving like in front of our eyes.
Wait a
we're-
minute. A piano was
Yeah,
moving?
yeah, no, it was playing, and then also the chair was moving.
Okay, I'm sorry. Ben, start
Ben,
the
bag
story
up,
again.
Up, Ben, bag up, Ben.
We were playing chess near a fireplace late at night at a hotel. Well, it used to be like an old Methodist hotel, but we were just staying there because we were near the mountains, and we were playing chess,
Uh-huh.
and then we just heard the piano just going off by itself and the chair moving, and I was like, we were like what's going on?
In the same room?
In the same room, and then we saw the door open by itself and closed. No one was there. It was just us.
Man, y'all.
And we were like, we just started praying, and then like it
Yeah.
went away. But we didn't see any physical thing. We
Uh-huh.
just saw just invisible things moving by itself, like the chair, like in the door opening.
Huh.
We're both believers, and we were like, that has to be
Y'all in the
demon.
middle of a satanic temple, didn't even know it.
Yeah. Well, I was praying that night, and I was like, this just scared me. I was like, I don't know what that was.
Yeah, pray. And in the name
But
of Jesus.
They definitely can move stuff and do stuff. I mean,
Right.
these things can do things.
I
but they're
think
demons.
there are lots and lots of stories like that people don't
Yeah.
often share. I
Yeah.
even
They do
have
share
them
'em.
in my family.
They do share 'em, and then they get admitted on a psychiatric unit.
if they have
Nice.
too many of them.
Yeah, I just felt led to share it because it
Yeah.
actually happened to me a
Wow.
couple of years ago.
That was just a couple years ago?
Yeah, and when I was going, and I was still, I was just first starting to attend here, and I went
Oh.
with my friend on vacation, and then this happened, and we're like, what the heck?
Oh, man.
He's like, we don't know
Yeah,
what's going
yeah.
on. Not going back to that place, but
That's definitely
Yeah, that place was
worthy of
cursed,
her-
man.
yeah, that place was definitely cursed.
Huh. Well, thanks for sharing.
Mary
that.
Ellen
That was-
said that I think what you were talking about, Nancy, was the New Age movement in the 70s. Is that what the New Age movement in the
being
70s?
preoccupied with angels?
Yeah, being preoccupied with angels.
Oh, I don't know. It wasn't New Age. It was
Oh,
coming
okay.
out of the church that I remember. Yeah.
I wasn't a believer then,
Yeah.
but I remember that there was a time when there were a lot of books on
Yeah.
angels.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. No,
No.
it was coming out of the church.
Okay.
It had to be like 25, 30 years ago because I've been in the
Yeah,
faith
that's
that
not
long.
the 70s.
Well, I thought it was in the charismatic. Yeah.
Okay.
I do remember it though.
Well, and my brother claims my aunt and uncle own this. Was an old stagecoach house, so you'd have travelers coming, like a little hotel. It's on their property. They have in Iowa, and used to go and stay there. And they'd spend the night or two, like go for a weekend, he and his wife and sometimes friends and stuff. And after they saw the ghost for the third time, they're like, okay, we're done.
Yeah,
We'll stay elsewhere.
yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, he said it had a red coat for some reason. I don't know. And he's not one to make things up or be, overly interested in this
Sure.
kind of stuff.
Is he one to take in libations at night?
He certainly is. But they both
Putting it politely.
Yeah, it's moving the bed sheets. It's yeah, and 3 times. And then he's like, no, I've had enough. I'm done.
Mm.
So anyway, just
So the
throwing that in
spirit
there.
realm is real.
It
It's
is
definitely
real.
It's real.
Of course it
And
is.
I think we have to
Of course it
really
is.
grasp and embrace that fact. Okay, so the angels also fight, which to Pastor James, I think we all agree now that angels are material in some way. How else could they fight? So if we got Daniel chapter 10, verses 12 and 13. Then he said to me, fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and humbled yourself before your God, your words have been heard. This is the angel speaking to Daniel, and he has just arrived. And he says, I have come because of your words. The prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I was left there with the kings of Persia. So this angel, the prince of Persia, and Michael are all spiritual beings. they're all angels of one kind or another. I'm just using that as a shorthand. So, what does it mean for an angel to fight? I mean, they can't kill each other, right? Because they
We don't know that.
Do we? Don't we? Because there's no there's death here because we sinned and brought it into the world. But
Even when you say death, you're not saying annihilation.
no.
You see what I'm saying? So you're saying your spirit is going to be separated from your material body.
Yes.
Right? That's what death is.
For us, that's what death is, yes.
Is death in the angel world being consigned to a dungeon until we don't know.
It doesn't sound like it. That
Okay,
sounds like
but it's
being in
speculation.
prison.
Again, we don't know. It wouldn't seem like it. They are eternal, but we're eternal too.
Yes.
It's just so. What I'm saying is,
But there's
don't know.
we're dual. We have body and spirit. We're at least dual. Some people say
And
we
what
have a
does that
spirit
mean?
and soul and body. Well, it means that our we continue on after our bodies. There's at least two parts to us.
Well,
After our body
Thessalonians
dies.
says 3, spirit, soul, and body.
Yes, there's that. I'm not sure how to understand that.
Yeah.
I think there's a variety of opinions on it, but I don't know if angels are dual or
we
triple.
don't know. That's the point. But here's my understanding of soul, spirit, soul, and body. Soul is the mental capacity by which you make decisions. Spirit is the part of you that is spiritual and that is non-material, and then body is the material. You see, my soul is different from my spirit in that when I die, my spirit is separated from my body. That's my
Right.
spirit. But my soul is where the seat of will resides. That's my quote unquote mental capacity, my capacity to obey and dissipate. That's my soul.
Now, is that something that we are speculating on, or is that
That's a lot of people speculate on it, but I tell you this: the one that got me, the one that got me that soul and spirit is not the same thing is that if you look at Hebrews 4:12, for the word of God is sharper than two-edged sword, separating soul from spirit. The writer of Hebrews think they're two different things, because everything else he uses in that are two different things. And so in his mind, soul and spirit can't be the same thing because the word of God separates them. Makes sense?
Yeah.
So that's what got me in
It
saying
does.
that soul and spirit is not the same thing. Right?
Yeah, was just understanding the definition of
Now,
each
if that's true,
is.
then I would say angels have. If the soul is the seat of reasoning, they have to have a seat of reasoning. How do
Yeah.
we know this? Because a third of them went with Satan, but 2/3 of them stayed with God, which means they made a choice. All the angels made a choice. So at the very least, you have a soul, or the seat by which one can make a decision, and then you have a body by which can be locked up. So whether you want to call it spirit and soul, without the material body, without as we experience it, I don't know. That's speculation.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking death came into our world because of our sin. So I thought it was very
Correct.
peculiar or specific to human beings.
Death, remember, death by Genesis means separation. That's what death is. If that's the definition, sin separates us from God, right? And so when he says, in the day you eat this fruit, you shall surely die. Adam didn't cease to
Right.
live. He didn't cease to exist. He was separated from God. If that's true, and that's the definition, then a third of the angels died when they chose to follow Satan, because they were separated from God.
Right, but in the context of a fight, I mean, our flesh dies or is destroyed or it rots.
Correct. And which, yeah, you're right. You're right. How do they fight? I don't know. But Michael won. because the angel's there. They tried to hold him up.
Oh, yeah, he
Michael
came
was
to help
dispatched,
me,
yeah.
for I was left, and so he
Yes.
was actually able to get
Yeah.
by.
Correct.
At the very least,
Exactly.
they can restrain each other somehow.
We don't know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
also,
but that makes sense, at least minimally.
Satan
Right?
and Michael contended over the body of Moses. So
Okay.
they fought. I don't know what that means. But they got chariots. I don't know.
All right. So, yes, and let's get back to that. So skip the next slide and go back to, or don't go back, but go forward to the 2 Kings, to the next one here. There. Okay. So this is the same verse we read before about the chariots of fire surrounding Elisha and his servant. And Elisha's servant's eyes were open so he could see them. Okay. So here's my question, and this is just would be complete speculation on everybody's part, but why did they need chariots or whatever these things
no
were
idea.
that
I have no idea. What is a chariot? What is a spiritual chariot? Terry, we have no idea.
Okay, so you're exactly right, but the point is they had chariots, right?
Something that he thought was chariots.
Okay,
Yes.
or some other sort of
Yes.
vehicle
Yes.
or something.
Uh-oh, I see where you're going.
Yes.
No, Terry. No, Terry.
Oh, come on, Pastor James.
Terry, go ahead.
So
No.
here we go down
These
the rabbit
guys know
hole.
each other too well.
No.
Ben and I are like, where are we going? Where are we going?
Exactly.
Oh, maybe he knows too. I don't know.
Pure
We have a-
speculation. We're
Oh,
going to pure
hang on.
speculation.
Well,
now.
yeah, we're going a little down the rabbit hole, but it's okay.
Pure imagination. But go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
Now we have a little video for everybody. So put your earphones on. And let me just say before he starts it, you're going to be looking. So basically, this happened in 15, and I think they'll say that
Yep.
15,
Yep. It's there. I think.
whatever. And he's going to be reading as you see it's called a broadsheet. It's a woodcut. It still exists. That it's basically a newspaper from the 1500s of a historical account of something that they say happened. So, and what he's doing is he's reading from the
newspaper.
article.
All right.
All
Here
right.
we go.
In the month of April 14th, 1561, at daybreak, between 4 and 5 a.m., a dreadful apparition occurred on the sun. And this was seen in Nuremberg in the city, before the gates and in the country, by many men and women. At first, there appeared in the middle of the sun 2 blood-red semicircular arcs, just like the moon in the last quarter. Above and below and on both sides of the sun, the colour was blood, and in the sun there stood a round ball of partly dull, partly black, ferrous colour. In between these globes there were visible a few blood-red crosses, between which there were blood-red strips, becoming thicker to the rear and in the front malleable, like the rods of reed grass. These all started to fight among themselves. The globes flew back and forth among themselves and fought vehemently with each other for over an hour. And when the conflict in and out of the sun was most intense, they became fatigued to such an extent that they all, as said above, fell from the sun down upon the earth, as if they all burned. And they then wasted away on the earth with immense smoke. After all this, there was something like a black spear, very long and thick-sighted. The shaft pointed to the east, the point pointed west. Whatever such signs mean, God alone knows. Although we have seen, shortly one after another, many kinds of signs on the heaven, which are sent to us by the Almighty God to bring us to repentance, we still are, unfortunately, so ungrateful that we despise such high signs and miracles of God. The God-fearing will by no means discard these signs, but will take it to heart as a warning of their merciful Father in heaven, will mend their lives and faithfully beg God that he may avert his wrath, including the well-deserved punishment on us, so that we may temporarily here and perpetually there live as his children.
All right, go ahead, Teri.
All right. So,
Oh, goodness.
since we know that sometimes they have vehicles,
Yeah.
is it possible?
We don't know that. Oh, okay. I see
The
what you're
chariots, Pat.
Yeah,
chariots,
the
okay.
chariots. Is it
saying. I
possible?
think the whole town had a feast the night before and were drunk
the
with,
whole
with
the
opium
whole
with
town.
opium in their mead. But go ahead.
Okay. Uh-huh.
See, that's my anti-spiritual bias coming
You
out.
bet it is. Is it possible that there was a heavenly dog fight in 1561?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think so.
We can go there, right? It's
Uh-oh.
possible.
That's not where she's gonna end up, though. Go ahead.
No, I'm just asking the question.
Sure.
They
Why-
they interpreted this as a
Yeah.
spiritual event.
I don't know why
Sure.
those people would lie about that.
Who the people?
Whoever
The-
recorded
the-
those
The
events.
people don't need to lie about it. Just the writer has to lie about it. But go ahead.
Well, apparently there were a lot of eyewitnesses, and
That's what he said. MSNBC said there's no witnesses to
Wow.
vote on something that happened in 2020. There's no witnesses that. They even said now there's no evidence of Joe Biden. No evidence of Joe Biden being corrupt. So is it possible? Yes, Terry.
But
I'm
there
just
were an
saying,
awful lot of people that-
I'm very skeptical with reporters and news at this day
oh,
and age, but go ahead.
absolutely. And we have so many news outlets, and
Yeah.
yes, but this guy was.
But you're not finished,
I
though.
don't know how. Oh, I'm not quite finished.
No, you're not. Are you finished with that video?
It,
You don't want to make any other implications with the video?
I wasn't going to. I'm just
Really?
asking, is it possible? Why, you got one?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going.
This
Keep
is
going.
not the only time that this has happened. I'm sticking with older examples of these things
see,
for
here's-
right now. But in a future episode, tune in, everybody, because we're going to bring it up to present day. But anyway,
You know what I thought you were going
Mm-hmm.
when it says they had a dog fight and it fell to earth.
yeah.
I thought you were going to somehow make your segue to UFOs, and
Future podcast.
okay, all right. Go
But
ahead.
it also, something similar happened in Basel, Switzerland in 1566. According to Samuel Coxius, on the 27th and 28th of July and the 7th of August, many local witnesses in Basel reported seeing 3 celestial phenomena. The first is described as an unusual sunrise. The second is a total eclipse of the moon with a red rising sun. And the third, like a cloud of black spheres in front of the sun, which is like similar to the thing we just saw.
Mhm,
So, and he also did a broadsheet. And did I give you a picture of that? I don't know if I did.
No.
Oh, sorry about that. I could have. But
Oh,
I-
you did. Up there, did it?
Yes. So, as you can see, there are no crosses and no sword, but it's very similar. All right.
Let me show it. Okay, here we go. So what am I looking at? A bunch of
This
black
is
balls in the sky.
black balls in the sky. Yes. A cloud of black spheres in front of the sun.
And what's your thought on this?
My
What's your
thought
thought on
on
this?
both of these is that these could be spiritual beings. They could be
Oh
in
yeah.
in some sort of vehicles, because we already established from the Daniel text that they have vehicles.
Did we though?
I think the chariots of fire qualify.
Okay.
That's my only point
Okay.
tonight.
Tonight. Okay. All right.
So
I
That's it.
got you. I got you. That's and again, the reason why we even do this is that too often the church in 2023, we're so anti spiritual that we won't even entertain these things. Yes, Mary Ellen, that's where I thought Teri was going. Could these chariots be the UFOs today? I think that's where she was leading, Mary Ellen. She just doesn't want to breach that subject just yet.
We don't have enough time for that tonight.
I don't believe it. I don't believe they have UFOs. Could it be possible?
No.
Me neither, Ben. No, I'm not
Absolutely
buying it.
not.
I'm not buying it, Ben. I'm not buying the
No.
UFO. It is the thing. You know,
Because-
you know what? I'd have to see it. I'd have to get in one. 'Cause I don't.
Well,
I don't
that's not a
trust it.
skeptical attitude.
It is
If you
very
see
skeptical. I don't
one,
trust it.
It doesn't make it real. It could be an apparition. It could be a manifestation. It could be deception. Because they have technology to deceive.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't say video. I gotta walk it. I gotta see it.
Even if I did.
Let's take
I
a
would
trip.
deny
All right,
it.
Thomas.
You're right. You're right. I am Thomas. But no, because here's why. I don't believe that the chariots that they were in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they come down to our level? What good would a UFO in our dimension do to them when they have spiritual vehicles? That's like trading in the top of the line Lexus for a 50-year-old Yugo. Why would you do that?
In order to deceive? A very materialistic Western world?
A lot of people are already falling for it.
So you think they're creating these things for deception?
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
that's possible.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll have to do another
Absolutely.
podcast
People
on this.
who are really weak are going to believe in it.
We're gonna do another podcast on this. I do think the UFOs and the sightings they're seeing in these military planes are spiritual beings.
Oh, absolutely. Without question.
I do believe that, and I do believe that Satan was not going to just let the church get a free pass. When the book of Revelation starts to come true, he's going to deceive. He cannot give the people of God just free reign to say, look, Revelation is true. He's got to deceive.
Is that part of the strong
Has to.
delusion or no?
Oh, yeah, I think it is part of the strong delusion.
Is it possible for even people like believers can be deluded themselves?
Say that again.
Is it possible that believers can be deluded themselves?
No, I
Okay.
don't believe that.
But I was listening some tonight. Doesn't it say that even the elect would be
It's possible to deceive even the elect.
yeah, if the Lord
He said
didn't
he cut
intervene.
it short. Yes, if possible,
Yeah.
deceive even the
So
elect.
the delusion is going to be so effective?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but here's the thing. I'm not saying that believers can't be fooled. I think ultimately what he's saying is, and when it comes to the Christ, you can't fool a believer. I don't believe the Spirit of God will let you. Can he fool you into thinking this or that? Yeah, I believe that. But the falling away and denying Christ, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think a true believer could do that. Can he get
No,
tricked?
I agree.
Can he get tricked with these UFOs? Maybe, possibly. Yeah.
But the whole UFO thing too is it like how if people said that aliens exist, well, how does that affect my relationship with Christ? Like, I know God exists, but my personal relationship with Him, I've seen God answer prayer. How can anyone deny that? My relationship with God and doing supernatural things in my life, people who say that God doesn't exist and aliens exist, how could they explain that?
I think a lot of people would be thrown for a loop because they're a lot of people consider themselves to be Christians because aliens are not mentioned in the Bible,
Yeah.
and it kind of if they don't have room if they're not supernaturally minded at all to recognize that they are these
Yeah.
are spiritual beings, then they're going to be tempted to toss the Bible out in favor of whatever these highly evolved and very spectacular aliens have to say.
With those people, I would question if they had a relationship with Christ at all.
Yes.
No, they
Oh,
probably
of
didn't.
course.
They didn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They didn't. But here's where it will be very, to a true believer, no. But again, aliens now gives the alternative to God creating things.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
That's where
Oh,
the
yeah.
problem. That's what Darwin did. He gave you the alternative belief, other than God created Adam and Eve. Now it's through evolution. Does it make sense?
And they've prepped people and programmed people through Marvel movies. Look, how many Marvel movies could someone watch and see aliens invade the Earth and they had to have a superhero save? I mean, a lot of people who are not believers will be like, "Oh yeah, this is just like the movies."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
So
mean,
many
Hollywood's
movies.
programmed
So
people
many
to believe
movies.
that. So it's not too
Yeah.
far-fetched. People are going to be deceived.
So we got to be very, very careful as believers
Yeah.
to not fall into the trap of thinking that our Christianity is a bunch of moral codes.
Exactly.
Right.
It's not just a philosophical system. That's very, very dangerous. Because when you do that and when these things start to come about, you're going to be very, 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 very thrown for a loop, okay?
And let me say this too, because I have a family member who's kind of bought into the whole Ancient Aliens, you know, that show.
Oh yeah.
No, I
thing.
don't know that show.
Well, it's a show.
What is
It's
that?
been around for a long
On
time.
History Channel.
Yes.
I mean, I've heard it, but I've never watched the episode, and I don't know
and the
much
premise
about it.
is that our planet was basically colonized by aliens.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? So there
it
you go.
takes-
That's the alternative.
Takes, yes, the place of the Book of
Yes.
Genesis. So my
Gotcha.
family member, who does claim to be a Christian,
Oh,
it really is sold. He believes this.
oh no, but you can't do that though.
Well,
you
this
can't
person does not know the Bible.
Correct.
And
Yeah, you can't hold both systems at the same time, and I think that's where
Yep.
the alien alternative becomes very dangerous.
Yeah, it's a deception.
It's a deception.
But in
Yeah.
those shows are very good at articulating,
Yep.
and they have historians, secular, and they're
Yes.
good at arguing it. They make a good argument, but it's not right.
And Terry, I think you said a key. They don't know the Bible.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
You know my Catholic experience that I had a couple weekends
Yeah.
ago. There's just a lack of knowledge of the Word of God.
Yeah.
So deception
That's exactly
occurs.
right. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. We're going to continue to, how can I say this? Explore the spiritual world. Why? Because we are spiritual beings. What, Terry?
Why? Because Terry's making.
All right. Good night.
Terry always
God
has a sequel.
bless.
He always has a sequel.